In addition to hosting today's fundraiser and contributing $50,000 to the causes listed, the Wolf family, owners of Minnesota Røkkr and the Minnesota Vikings, committed earlier this week to a $5 million donation to social justice causes, as well as a $125,000 scholarship fund in George Floyd's name. We want to thank everyone for tuning in today and encourage you to donate at røkkr.gg/donate. The Call of Duty League stands firmly against racism, inequality, and injustice. Let's make change together. Activision Blizzard has made a donation and set a goal of raising over $4 million to help provide transformative opportunities to Black Americans to eliminate systematic racism and discrimination. Go to callofdutyleague.com/impact for organizations recommended by our teams and links with information on how to get involved. Ladies and gents, welcome back. The day has been jam-packed with Call of Duty action. Benson joined by Chance, and we have Nameless as well. Welcome, Ant. You've been doing a good job with your keys to victory. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on this next upcoming series, because this is a weird one to me, where I think all three of us may have actual different opinions on who's going to take the series.
Yeah, it is a weird series, right? Because yesterday Octane was the best player in the universe. It was like the Octane from old games. We did not expect that at all, but he was trying to put the team on his back, man, and he did that.
He did. He looked fantastic. Of course, for Seattle, unfortunately, despite going 2-0 up, they weren't able to close out that series. But Chance, today, it's a whole new day, right? Whole new day. You're going up against Minnesota Røkkr, who are without one of their key components.
Yeah, they're going to be missing Alex, who apparently has a thumb injury. So we wish him a speedy recovery for his thumb, which is a weird thing to say, but nonetheless, not a fun situation for the Røkkr to be in. I will say, as far as substitutes go, Exceed is a player that I would not be unhappy having to play alongside. There's a couple teams with subs in this league that if they were put in this situation, it would be brutal, but Exceed has been playing all year. He's been on the grind, and it's not going to be easy. Like, you have zero practice experience with the guy. It's just a complete one-for-one swap that is not easy in a day at all. So it's unfortunate, but he is still a good player. He's still respectable and should be able to put up some kills on the map.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him play for Minnesota Røkkr. Of course, shout out to Minnesota as well for actually letting us know kind of ahead of time what was going on. That's always nice when you're commentating a series involved with that team. But we'll talk game fuel keys to victory. Nameless, seems you're on. I'm gonna let you take it. For Minnesota Røkkr, Silly needs to step it up. A .72 yesterday. Exceeds needs to step up for Alex as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Alex was dealing with an injury that we weren't aware of at the time. So he had a terrible series. That was the worst series we've seen him play yet. And, you know, Exceed coming in, he's got to do better than that. So it should help them out a bit. And obviously yesterday they were going up against a tougher opponent across the board. So versus Seattle, they definitely have the ability with a substitute to come out here and make some waves. So it's time to get some momentum going with their sub.
All right, so when we talk Seattle keys to victory, Octane obviously must replicate the performance from yesterday. Everyone baiting for him, allowing him to dominate.
Yes. I mean, you know, we've been questioning it the whole time, whether these players would step up around the squad, and it just hasn't happened. So Octane said, fine, I'll do it myself. And he just took over. So that's honestly their key to victory, though. Like, they have to just play around him. He's the only player here who's able to take over games at the moment. They have to play around him, just run in front of him. I mean, Apathy had some decent moments yesterday, but like, these guys, they're just not in a position where they can take over games. So it's all Octane.
With that said, Ed, before I let you go, predictions for this series?
Honestly, I think Octane can keep it up, and I think they have a chip on their shoulder right now. I'm going to go Surge. I'm going to go Surge this series.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much, Nameless, for joining us pre-game. Always fantastic to hear your insight and thoughts on all things Call of Duty.
Thank you.
Chance, here we go. Obviously, we heard Nameless's kind of prediction there. Your thoughts on this series as well?
Like, instinct says any team in the CDL, if they're playing against another team that's having to use a sub on this short of notice, I would honestly just expect them to win. I think you further that point and say Seattle actually looked pretty fantastic yesterday against FaZe. Again, they went to a Game 5, Round 11, and had many opportunities and unfortunate circumstances that were involved, yada, yada, yada. But that being said, as much as I would say off instinct, I think Seattle Surge are going to win, the COD gods genuinely hate this team and want them to have no success. And the COD gods are a force to be reckoned with. So, like, I'm not making any predictions. That's my brief, like, expectation. But also, just because the COD gods, anything could happen.
I'm excited to see Minnesota Røkkr in action today. Of course, they're host of the home series this weekend. So for them, I hope to see them stay alive in their own tournament, that's for sure. But Seattle Surge is, I think Nameless kind of summed up very well, having a big bone to pick. I think they're pretty frustrated, is probably an understatement, as so far, so good for Seattle Surge. 36-3, the point lead they have after P1, and as you can see, the foot race is in for the rotation. It's Minnesota Røkkr ready and waiting at P2.
And I'm pretty sure if we ever get to look at the stats, you're going to see the ARs right now from the side of Seattle Surge actually started off incredibly well. Not just Octane, but Panther too, I believe started off 3-0, 4-0. So nice little opening break, and of course, Seattle are able to actually secure the back spawns in spite of GodRx's positioning. So right now, Seattle in a fantastic spot to bump up the lead just a little bit more.
Potentially. Well, as you said, plenty of time left on P2. Seattle do break through, and I think the one thing that impressed us yesterday when we were obviously casting over Seattle Surge was just kind of the fundamentals was all correct, right? The rotations look clean, their holds look fantastic. And bigger picture here, it's a slow start for Silly from the Minnesota Røkkr. 0-7 he currently stands after a hill and a half.
I mean, I think it was what the name was brought up for the keys of victory. He had like a 0.76 KD yesterday, I believe, overall. So not a good opening break, I will say, and not really padding the stats too much. And as you pointed out, Seattle did have a ton of success on this map yesterday. They had some fantastic rotations, and I think even down the line, you already see potentially these guys thinking about future hills. Proto has wrapped all the way across the map, and it looks like he might have a gunfight soon. But while that's happening, you see the concept right now for Seattle. Try to break this hill, hit it from all sides.
Yeah, nice pinch starting to develop. We'll see if they're able to win the following gunfights. It's going to be left down to Slack actually pushing from the backside. He's not going to know it, but two players have actually spawned directly behind him. So for Slack, it's just try and find a kill. If you can stay alive and be a nuisance, that's fantastic. And he's done such a good job of doing just that. He eventually falls, but he bought his teammates a lot of time to try and attack back from the front side of the hill. Unfortunately, though, no one there to contest just quick enough. So Minnesota Røkkr will be able to get a little bit of hill time here.
And it's worth pointing out again, Seattle did take a lot of time to try to get to that left side of the map. They tried to fight pretty hard for it. Obviously, no success. So best case scenario right now for the Røkkr, right? They're able to hold down this hill for a substantial amount of time. They're looking pretty good to get the final 15 seconds, although Apathy might have something to say about it. But then you go to that rotation, Minnesota, not clear cut whether or not they'll have the advantage to the hill, because you see Seattle actually pouring a ton of pressure in towards Cave.
Yeah, definitely are. 78-59 as we rotate now towards our new hill. Still, Seattle Surge with the advantage. And they build upon it here, though. They're going to have to try and break from the front. Apathy is starting to hit the flank. He'll have three players in Minnesota Røkkr to deal with. Checks his right.
Oh, okay. All right, Ben. Let's go to the next POV. Oh, baby.
Okay. This is a family show, right? I don't
ordinarily I could think of 12 reasons why the gunfight shouldn't go that way, but not really anymore. Like, that's no excuses for that one, Ben.
Ready. Just gonna move past that. Minnesota Røkkr, they've managed to regain full control of this game, taking the lead 93-78. Still 18 seconds of hill time left, and it looks like a scene should be good to try and push in. Slacks is still there, though. Being a nuisance, unfortunately, that was short-lived. We got our X with the trade. More importantly, though, for Seattle Surge, they have the rotation ready and waiting.
They have the rotation. Now it's about making sure you win the gunfights. It is an important step in the process. Also, by the way, Silly, the man who started out 0-7, throwing different weapons into the mix and maybe trying to see if he can get something else to work for him. So I guess a lot of interesting things happen in this game, Ben.
We've all been there, right? When you start off slow, you say, it's the class. It's not me. It's not me. It's the class. 6-14 is Silly currently with 17 seconds of hill time to his name. He's, of course, a World Championship caliber player. You expect to see him turn this game around. He's actually been quite a key component for me for Minnesota Røkkr's season so far. The successes they have had. Silly's been a big part of. He's not necessarily the flashy player, which some of his teammates necessarily get a ton of credit, but he does the dirty work. He's one of those players who often putting in a big shift. But after our first rotation coming to an end, this is a very, very close game.
Very close game indeed. And now going into P1, Apathy actually potentially able to make a play. You see a couple of the ARs are scattered over around Rock Wall. And yes, Proto was going to fall, but Seattle still are spawning in the preferred spot. And Apathy really is going to be the key guy. He can get that player out of the hill oh so quick. And you say that, Silly apparently making the right read, takes down Apps. That is genuinely fantastic map awareness coming in from the Røkkr.
He is. Well, back and forth game so far. Seattle Surge holding spawns for P2. But there's still so much time left on P1. If you're Minnesota Røkkr, you can milk this time. It'd be fantastic. Asim was just on a 3 streak. He will fall. Assault and Silly both on 2 streaks as Assault finds himself 2 in quick succession. He'll go over to a 4 streak. Nice couple of moments there for, in fact, that's a 5 streak now for Assault. He's starting to heat up. There's number 6. Assault, he has these moments in games where he just completely takes over. Can he find number 7? Panda finally shuts him down.
Tanner, by the way, also having a pretty fantastic game so far with the M4. But either way, if you remember the first set of rotation, Seattle did a fantastic job on this hill. They got pretty much the full setup. Once again, that they want a bunch of bodies stacked in and around the actual point. A couple guys over Torrance sandbags just trying to respond to where the pressure is going to be coming in from the side of Minnesota. But now maybe it's Exceed's turn to try to make something happen, but he gets cut down very quickly by Octane.
Even looking to try and push through, will find Proto, but still a smoke enters his vision. Where the second player is going to be. Seattle Surge still inside the hardpoint, again chipping away at the Minnesota Røkkr lead. It's going to be very, very small. As eventually, Minnesota do get behind enemy lines. They have control of the spawns, but with 35 seconds left, if Seattle is able to pin them back and also get some hill time here as well, they'll have advantage for the rotation, and they'll also tie up the game once again.
Trying to tie up the game, but of course right now still that battle for scraps is actually big. Surge have managed to get right back inside the point. You got both the ARs in the feed, Panda and Octane finding a couple kills apiece, and that is a pretty much instant re-break, and that is a very big moment right there for Seattle to get. Instead of being down by what, maybe 50, 60 points going into the new hill, instead they're only going to be down by about 20, a much more manageable situation. And as you pointed out, the rotation battle is going to be going their way. Proto, he's been posted up for quite some time in a nice little spot as well.
Yeah, credit to Proto. He's really taking lead on a lot of the Seattle Surge rotations. He's first there. He's winning the gunfights as well. He's really assisting his team, making their job a little easier, that's for sure. Now he's been a little sneaky, waiting for Minnesota Røkkr to push. There's a flank starting to develop as well. Seattle Surge are going to have to be careful of that. It's going to be Silly, who, unfortunately for him, players, yep, just as it did for Slacks on the first rotation, spawning directly behind him. He didn't realize the situation, and unfortunately for him, the pinch on the hill is very, very short-lived. Still, Seattle inside, earning points. But again, Minnesota Røkkr trying to flood from the front.
Yeah, it's just a slugfest around this point right now. The soccer field is getting brutalized by both teams for the moment. Looks like Minnesota, just based on the spawns, they're going to have to fight for this scrap time as well. Not an ideal situation when everybody spawns right down that path and you say, I guess we'll fight for the 10 seconds. And you see the result of where the spawns ended up coming in. They're going to have to take a hike. Meanwhile, Seattle, you talk about getting the setup you want. You got Proto. He can watch a little side cutting cave. He's got double ARs to watch his left side. He's got a teammate in Well, and then of course you got Apathy. His responsibility is watch the back, and even though App is up top, I was going to say players still are going to be able to spawn here, and well, the pinch is in, the pitch is developing.
Honestly, I think it's Slack for me, which is going to be such an important component here for Seattle's success. He was down low. He actually won himself one fight against Silly. He was controlling that entire pinch. As soon as Apathy went down, he had a lot to deal with, but ladies and gents, fasten your seatbelts. Get yourself maybe some popcorn quick, because this is looking like it's going to be a nail-biter of an ending. 197-186. Advantage back to Seattle Surge. Still 20 seconds of this hill remain. Minnesota Røkkr may think about the rotation, but look who it is again on the minimap for Seattle Surge. It's Proto, already ready and waiting at the new hill. I love how proactive he's being. Unfortunately for him, though, that's very short-lived. Silly sniffs him out, finds the kill. Minnesota Røkkr, they might not realize just how important that kill actually is.
I mean, they 100% are going to know as well, because you had, like, what, 2-3 people that were dedicated to effectively hunting Proto, and they were still actually able to get the re-break for the scrap time towards the end. So another little nice small win for the Røkkr, where instead of, like, being down by, 30 points, only down by 12 going into the new hill. They secured the rotation. This is one of the biggest money hills in the game. You try to flood through the front, it's not ideal, and you see Silly back to effectively the Warzone class. It is a hill-specific game for him, apparently.
See if it's, a system, though. Minnesota Røkkr retake the lead. 30 seconds remain. They cannot now win it here. There was a moment, briefly at least, where they could have done, but they can put a lot of pressure on Seattle Surge. They're being forced to try and break from the front side of the hill. There's not really that much utility out right now. There's one smoke, of course, deep, which Chili's just trying to pre-fire through. Finally, Seattle do touch the hill, but it's not enough. This is essentially going to come down to a 1-2 point game. All Minnesota Røkkr are going to need as we rotate to our final rotation.
1 second, all you need, and you can see his seam. He is setting up for the play. Octane has some vague awareness of what's going to be going on. So the question is, what kind of timing can a seam get? He peeks over, wins the gunfight, takes him down. Players inside the hill, 250 on the board. Minnesota Røkkr, even with Exceed, managed to get the W.
Some fantastic timing right at the very end, but realistically, Minnesota Røkkr did so much damage on the hill previous to that. In the last, of course, of the second rotation, they really just put the game out of touch. When you only need 1 or 2 points, it forces the other team to maybe just get a little chaotic towards the end. In terms of your stats, Assault, a fantastic game out of him, 32 and 23. And a couple of hot streaks there as well in game number 1, but it's Minnesota Røkkr with the advantage.
And that's big as well. Again, you're playing with a guy with, 0 days of practice. I'm sure they tried to get a scrim in sometime today, but basically no time. And Exceed did his job very well. And we talked about for Seattle Surge, the keys to victory of like, try to set Octane up. But then Assault was like, don't even worry about it. I'm just going to take him down and have the bigger game as an AR. And then I think the final thing I'm more interested in, I do not have the answer for you, unfortunately, of why Silly was pulling out the Growl. I would assume maybe it's a hill-specific thing. It seems like he was only pulling it out towards that P5 hill. I'm guessing it might have just been for the clip size. You saw him spraying through the smoke a lot. Yeah. You know, people are going to be running through the smokes. Having extra 20 bullets doesn't hurt. Things also a laser beam, which is not a bad thing to have in your pocket, but certainly something worth asking him later on, I would say. Although he probably won't tell you. So.
Probably gonna keep it close to chest. I think your guess, your educated guess there about just maybe clip size.
Maybe partially right. I think there's going to be something deeper there, but I don't know.
I think it makes a lot of logical sense. But either way, we'll move forward. We'll take a look at our quick scope presented by the U.S. Air Force. Again, on the season, big advantage for Minnesota Røkkr, 120 CDL points comparative to Seattle Surge's 40. The match record as well, very, very different. 12 and 11 Minnesota Røkkr for 4 and 13 comparison with Seattle Surge, and of course the game record, as you would expect after the match record, reflects that as well. For Minnesota Røkkr, though, it's been an interesting season. I think we had extremely high expectations after maybe 1 or 2 events that they would actually win an event. They've been unsuccessful. They've had, quote, easier events the past few we've seen them at, and they've been unable to really get anything going, including unable to even get to a Sunday, which is surprising by that team's standard. You would love, if you're a Minnesota fan, to see them turn it around at their own home series.
And if they were able to do that with a substitute player as well, would kind of be motivating. Because, like, yeah, I think Nameless made an interesting point again, just highlighting like Alex's KD yesterday. Like, it's never a fun situation to have to play with a sub. It's never a fun situation to have to play unlimited practice. But like, the team made a decision of like, Alex is struggling with his thumb to perform at his best. It's worthwhile to try something different. And at least so far so good. They had a little bit of success. So if they somehow go on a run, I don't honestly know what that would mean for the team. It would just be a very strange situation, but best of luck to them because they looked business as usual, I would say, on Azir Cave.
Looked very good. Not necessarily flashy numbers by Exceed by any means, 19 and 29, only a minute of full time there as well. But at the end of the day, did his job, right? Got the job done. Minnesota Røkkr win game 1. It's all they're going to care about right now. For Seattle Surge, though, I'm expecting a little bit of a comeback in game 2. For me, yesterday, their search was very, very good. I mean, they had a round 11. In fact, it was 2 round 11s. We saw they won 1, lost 1. But for me, I want to see that improvement today.
And it was interesting as well because I actually talked to Proto just a bit about it. They really didn't practice S&D a ton. Like the VOD review going over game planning for the opponent was certainly there, but it's not like they had enough time with the 7 or 8 days of practice that they had to make sure to grind all the hardpoint maps on repeat, the dominations, and then somehow find the time to get S&D scrims in there. So it's a limited practice with them. So any success they have in Search and Destroy, it comes down to the VOD review. It comes down to the game plan. I know they put a hefty amount of emphasis into it against FaZe. Obviously, they have a little bit of less time to figure it out for this series, but either way, we'll see if Seattle has something cooked up because, again, going down 2-0 to a team using a sub is not a good follow-up to the success they almost had yesterday. And not even almost. I would say outright they had success yesterday. Like, Game 5, Round 11 against FaZe, like, it's still improvement.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. They look great for moments yesterday. Just unfortunately could not close out a series. They realistically had a chance to do so, multiple chances, but they find themselves now against the home team this weekend. And Minnesota Røkkr really went back and forth in game 1, but they close it out. The 1-0 lead now as we head over towards our Search and Destroy. Minnesota are going to be on the attack first round. And then we kick things off on board with Silly. And no first blood just yet.
First blood yet, and of course just playing for picks for the moment. Trying to find that opportunity, the one opening on the map, but fairly standard setup, honestly, from both teams. Just a nice little spread. No one trying to gain too much of a map advantage. No one trying to go for a flank, so just patience. Wait and see where this first blood is going to come in, and you see who's up the map.
wide split. Now, bear in mind, yes, Minnesota are putting resources over towards B, but the bomb is still in a position to maybe late A push. Minnesota trying to bait out a couple of players to rotate over towards B from Seattle Surge, but those first 2 kills can just put a stop to Minnesota Røkkr's plan altogether as bomb slowly pushes up towards A. Scene will find 1. That's Proto. Still a little bit of work to be done here. He should be okay to get bombed down, barring maybe a nade from downtown. All right, well, if Octane is going to get sniped like that, GodRx could maybe just turn this round around completely by himself.
Well, now the biggest issue, honestly, GodRx, the first thing he did was back up, and now you got to take down a sniper, the guy that's watching over the bomb. There's the attempt, the shot connects, and now how do you get past this man?
Well, he does miss, he is human, but he doesn't miss often as he finds himself his third. GodRx out to the pistol, he has Panda basically trapped. This, a 2-on-1 as well. If you're GodRx, you can wait for teammate support. He's pinned down. Panda has to push. Panda still can't find a kill. Eventually gets it. 12 seconds, though. Minnesota Røkkr, they should have done just enough. Smart stuff from Silly. Disciplined play. Play back. Really allow GodRx to waste so much time. But those snipes were just so nice to watch.
I mean, yeah, if you're ever in a 3v5, someone's going to have to turn up and make the big play. GodRx said, not a problem. I can handle this. And I love the decision-making as well, because obviously, generally speaking, when you get the bomb down in that situation, especially if you got a sniper on your team, you want them to back all the way up, play over towards like the broken area and just stare over the bomb. But if you're in a 3v5, you don't have the time to like run it. Like, you need to find kills before you go in the correct spot. So like, you still have to play aggressive. That way you can get the man advantage at least kind of tied up. And that's exactly what GodRx does. Plays nice and aggressive with it, finds a couple picks, then he backs up, spots out Proto, and then just plays for time after that. So nice little masterclass put on by the old superstar.
Truly incredible this season with the sniper rifle in hand, but round 2 kicks off with a double kill for Asim. Seed managed to find himself one as well. Panda and Slack do fight back though for Seattle Surge. Silly and Asim both fall. After the wave of kills, it's advantage Minnesota Røkkr. A 1-man advantage at that. 3 versus 2. And of course, Seattle Surge on the attack, bomb down mid-map though. It's gonna have to be retrieved. Slacked and Panda built up. Minnesota Røkkr be trying to get a little bit of information here shortly if Exceed is quick enough.
See it up top. He definitely knows the players are down here. Actually, they both had dead silence pops, so they might actually be able to get in free and clear. And now they're actually trying to go upstairs, and they are playing together. It is just Exceed by his lonesome. Trade not necessary, 2v2.
And may have just got the best timing possible. He does, saves the day. Assault now for the 1v2. He has the information that a rotation was happening. Now, if you're Seattle Surge, do you stick the rotation or track back to B? Well, they've decided to go back to B, so Assault's not going to get blessed timing here. He will have to try and take this 1v2 fight over towards the B site. Bomb down. Assault versus Slacked and Panda. As they play back-to-back, Panda will surely fall. Assault for the 1v1 now. Slack's on bomb. Assault almost manages to make it happen. Slacked lands the shots, though. Seattle Surge tied up 1-1.
Hey, beautiful stuff, honestly, coming out from the duo right there. Slacked and Panda making plays, right? If they didn't have that silence, they would have been screwed. If they didn't double up together, it would not have gone well. If they didn't make the decision to, after they get the kill on Exceed up top, start wrapping the bomb to A, I don't know if they win that round. That would not have been an easy 2v2, but they decide the wrap. They make the decisive call. They find a pick mid-map because they're doubled up together. It's just an easy gunfight win for them. And then they fake the kill cam. They start the rotation over towards A. They're like, he's going to call this out. Let's wrap it back. We've already basically cleared out this site. We should know that no one's really going to be nearby. And, well, the decision-making perfect to tie things up. And good S&D so far.
Great S&D so far. It's always the easy snipes you miss. As a sniper rifle player, GodRx hits the flashy ones 2 rounds ago, misses the easier shot. Credit to Slack, by the way, from Seattle Surge, 2 rounds in. He sits at 5-1. We will find a first blood this round, though. It's Octane that drops. So, advantage now for Minnesota Røkkr, of course, on the attacking side. All their focus over towards A, and I believe as Asim hopped up, he did just get a little bit of information. Immediately drop straight back down. There's a flank starting to develop as well. This is said flank. Panda will shut down Exceed. Now, if you're Minnesota Røkkr, you got to worry a little bit there about Exceed, about Panda hitting that flank.
And they're not super aggressive on it yet, but I imagine after this bomb gets planted, he makes his move. Meanwhile, GodRx still making moves with the sniper. And you can see concerned about the flank, but Panda just now starting to move over. Slack, though, with the pick. Now you got yourself a 3v3.
And bear in mind, the longer Panda takes, the more Minnesota Røkkr are going to be worried about it. Asim spots him now and also finds the pick. That's fantastically done. Assault shuts down Slacked as well. Proto left for the 1 versus 2 for Seattle Surge. He's done well, put himself in a position where maybe he could make it happen. But Minnesota Røkkr challenged together. Smart stuff. They go up 2-1.
And that's an important round for Minnesota to get as well, because by no means were they in a good situation there. As soon as Panda gets that kill on the flank, that is constant concern of, we don't know when he's going to show up. We don't even know if he's going to show up, if he wants to like wrap back middle of the map. But that just means someone on your team is forced to turn around and stare at the flank, which means the guys on the front are going to be guaranteed just, you know, the one-on-one gunfights. But do go the way of Minnesota. Another little nice intense round. Make things interesting, and Seattle back on offense. It's like they're going to be leaning towards the safe side.
Team and GodRx both sitting at 4 and 3, relatively equal slaying for Minnesota Røkkr. On the other side for Seattle Surge, Octane still sitting on a donut, 0 and 3. Looks like still doing his best though. Leading the charge for Seattle, 6 and 2. There's a first blood for GodRx, and he may find himself a second. Almost hit the flick on towards Slack, but does back away. Apathy falls. There's the challenge from XC. That's just going to be traded out. Assault will cherry pick Octane once again. Proto did push forward. You still have to deal, of course, with GodRx's sniper, and he's going to know he's there. GodRx doesn't even need any more time. Pulls the trigger, finds the pick on Proto. Panda left all on his lonesome.
The roaming man, trying to watch the flank, but nothing cooking for him over there. It's like he does have dead silence available if he wants to try to make a play, but obviously in the 1v3, he needs to find at least a single pick first, and the pick right in front of him rips the head off the seam. 27 seconds again. Have the dead silence. You can make the play.
So the Røkkr disciplined. Now they know exactly where Panda is going to be coming from. Kind of spotted. Be a few moments really before he falls. GodRx challenges from the side. Finds the pick. Minnesota with a 2-round cushion.
And just a nice little cleansing of the round towards the end. There is the opportunity to make the play. I do try to sell the story, but in the end, the bomb is down. And one of the worst spots possible. You do have to cross many lines of sight to even get there. And then, of course, by the time he does, 12 seconds left on the clock, the Røkkr, they've been playing this smart the entire time. They're not going to make any mistakes in that situation. And frankly, Seattle, again, work's cut out for them. They still have yet to find a win against a team not named the Los Angeles Guerrillas, as close as they were yesterday. Now they're going up as a team playing with a substitute player. It's not going well for them.
Still Octane yet to find his first kill in the map. See if maybe it's going to be this round, round 5. Pulled out the sniper rifle. Now, maybe a little worried about GodRx, but look at that fast rotation. Minnesota Røkkr, they hit mid-map, now looking over towards B. Apathy, of course, is up top. And over towards the field, but Minnesota is quick here. They managed to be able to find the pick on towards Apathy. They do. Overall, a very fast rotation out of Minnesota Røkkr.
Not wanting to get the bomb down quite yet either. They're making sure they get everybody in the right spots. You're going to have GodRx covering the outside. He might actually be able to flank the players that are going up top. He's able to spot at least one and doesn't get the kill, though. Proto is also going to be weak, so GodRx has all the information in the world that lets his teammates know where they need to look.
If he had the sniper rifle out, he probably would have killed both. Well, unfortunately, not going to be the case. Proto peeks. Proto finds the pick, but it's another 1v situation for Seattle Surge. This is a 1 versus 4. Proto has made it a 1v3. Almost made it a little spicy, but not going to be the case. Minnesota Røkkr, they're just kind of cruising through game 2 here, if I'm honest.
Yeah, Proto got close with a turn on, but I don't think we're going to see any turn-ons this series, Ben. Like, no, it's not going to happen. Not at this level, dude. These pros are too good. But either way, again, I think GodRx gets a ton of credit, at least to the latter half of that round. He spots at least Octane going up in the top window, and as soon as Asim gets that call out, he starts looking up top. Turns out Slack was there as well, so Asim with a nice little double kill. So 1 man for the information, 1 man for all the kills. Asim matching him with 8 kills, both leading the lobby.
And Apathy combining right now 1 and 10 between the two of them. Both desperate need to step things up here in the search, otherwise Minnesota Røkkr will just run away with this. Apathy goes down. That is just far, far too easy for Silly. The double kill comes through. Bear in mind, Octane did get picked that round as well, so his personal woes continue. More importantly, though, this is almost inevitable. The Minnesota Røkkr will go 5-1 up as Slack just bobs and weaves outside of GodRx's sniper shots. At this point, you may as well just try and challenge him. They have much going your way with 40 seconds. Still to play. He's going to be tagged up from behind, and GodRx peaks at the perfect time. Minnesota Røkkr 5-1 up.
Well, this is a tough game right here, Ben. There's no two ways about it.
That's one way of saying it.
There was a couple of close rounds early on. You know,
I know Octane's been real good on social media with his memes. Be curious to see what meme he pulls out for an 0-7 performance from himself. We'll see if he can change that here this round. Still, yeah. Can we just see Octane's POV? I rarely, call to see stuff. I think our observers do a phenomenal job. But I would love just to watch Octane this round, just to see if he can try and get himself a first pick. Like, why not, right?
I think you're going out of your way to try to make a caster's curse type deal happen, but
technically it would be the anti-curse, would it not? It would be me saying he's gonna get a pick, just like that. Damn it! Almost.
Meanwhile, Proto actually killing things. Doing a nice job, like he gets traded out, but like it's good, whatever. You know what though? The trophy coming in from Octane was on point at the start of the round. Soaked up a ton of utility. He's doing his job, Ben.
Yeah, Octane's helping. That's what he's doing so far. As Seam and Silly have both fallen for Minnesota Røkkr, so it's actually a man advantage for Seattle Surge. GodRx hunting. The sniper rifle out. May have just spotted Slacked. Well, that smoke's going to help the cross. GodRx can cross as well. Bomb down in the trench. Not the best spot at all. Octane still covering that cross. Slack finds the pick on towards GodRx. Octane tagged up. Assault looks like he's actually going to try and push this. Octane falls. There it is, ladies and gents. James Bond in the game.
Well, at the same time, though, the bomb is down actually 2v2. Apathy might get picked as well, but frankly, not enough time on the clock. Just play your life. You don't need to challenge anything. There you go. Seattle on the board. And you know what? You can't go 0-7 at the end of the game if there's an extra round. So I think he's safe from the James Bond stat line. Yeah, 0-8. So much better, bro. So much better. And you know what? He's probably getting assists, too. So, like, is it really 0-7 or is it, like, 0-3-7, you know?
No, it's 0-7.
Definitely 0-7. Octane needs to find a kill. They need to find 4 more rounds in a row. They do not want to be down 2-0 in the series. I assure you of that. Not that any team does, but again, going against a team playing with a sub, you don't want to get demoralized in 2 back-to-back games.
Yeah, big yikes. That's for sure. GodRx leading the way. The team right behind him at 9-5. GodRx sits 10-5. Double positive. Again, his sniper rifle play in Search and Destroy this entire season has been next level. It really has. He's been a phenomenal asset to the team in Search specifically, as well as, of course, Respawn too. Now starts to develop.
I was just going to say, it's an interesting play. Potentially, you got double players on Seattle thinking about the full flank, and well, they did think about it. Seam made the correct read, and the bomb honestly just kind of hovering around mid-map. I was thinking they would show something at B, try to make the play towards A, but now they have 0 map pressure, and they're man down.
Yeah. Looking good for Minnesota to close this out and go 2-0 up. We'll wait and see as Octane's tried pretty much everything. Try and find himself his first pick. Sniper rifle out. Still looking for that pick.
Silly manages, well, he doesn't get the kill, but he gets the help from GodRx. He's dead to rights, but they managed to at least get an extra trade out, so you keep that man advantage. Bomb still not towards the B site. They're still going to the outer. Seam has been here the entire time. He might get great timing, and there you go. What are you going to do with the bomb? 15 seconds left. Into no man's. Proto wins the gunfight, but still 12 left on the clock. Not enough time, not enough manpower, not enough skill. Minnesota Røkkr dismantle them with the 6-2 win. Did Octane get a kill, by the way?
No, we didn't.
0-8 or 0-9? Okay.
That is an 0-8 performance from Octane.
Not ideal.
That just very rarely happens. And when I say very rarely, I actually don't think I can remember a time of him ever going 0-8 or 0-7 at that. Probably may have happened once, but I mean, either way, Minnesota Røkkr, they just destroyed Seattle there in game 2. Of course, now with a 2-0 advantage in the series. A great performance out of Asim and GodRx. They both finish basically double positive. Overall chance this might actually be a relatively quick series. I was hoping we'd see more after seeing realistically good improvement from Seattle Surge yesterday. Unfortunately, it hasn't been the case. Minnesota Røkkr in cruise control here at their home series. We'll be right back after this quick break with game number 3.
Call of Duty League is brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Stay connected to what matters most with the best value in wireless.
Mr. Three Rings, let's hear it for Karma! Incredible clutch plays that he made, unlike any other.
Karma is the GOAT.
This is the start of a dynasty. MVP, I'm going to Karma. Hoist that trophy up. Much deserving.
What a this is 30 straight kills for Envy without anyone from Enigma fighting back. This is just getting bloody. 23 kill streak. This is the biggest streak we have ever seen.
Man. It's going to take someone pulling his power cord out at the moment to stop him, as nothing seems to be hitting Karma as he takes down another two. This is an international champion of the best teams in the world, and he's making it seem like these guys don't even have hands.
It's about the double. That's the only reason he called that Hellstorm. Another lightning strike, his third Hellstorm, and he's finally going to be cut down.
200 IQ play to hit B straight away and managed to make it work.
This is huge. This is huge. Damon Barlow with the slam. With the slam! Oh my goodness!
And you're going to see it's Karma, last man standing as Crim 6 falls at the hands of Gunless. Arcinies gets burned. Karma's going to decide to use this camo, and he's going for Gunless, who's on the defuse. No one saw him coming. Karma bought him enough time. It's Optic Gaming's Karma playing insane right now. Best play I have seen this tournament, Matt.
Please. No! Karma, please do it to him. Please do it to him. Please do it to him. There's three of them. They're all inside the generator. Karma going for the ninja defuse. 45% of the way through. No one's taking the bomb. Karma, yes! I get the ninja defuse! Oh my Karma!
It's all down to a 1 versus 1. Karma versus Fastballer. No payloads. The camo was already used.
Fastball still just playing inside the Optic Gaming spawn. The bomb is gonna go down. Things are looking good for Optic Gaming right now. The Scarab can come into play as well. Probably not the best thing to use in a 1 versus 1. Karma's gonna be right on the other side of the wall. We can see it through X-ray. My heart is racing, and Karma is gonna come out on top.
What else the way top?
Damon Barlow, you will be missed in competitive Call of Duty there. Of course, a glance at Karma's couple career highlights right there. A top 5, if you will. I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest of all time to ever play Call of Duty. I mean, there's a quick glance at some of his accomplishments. 24 major championships, 13 tournament wins with the Optic Dynasty. And, of course, you sort of glanced at the top 5 kind of career plays. Some incredible moments he's produced. And I think I speak to... or for everyone at the CDL to just say thank you, Karma, really, for just your entire playing career, your entertainment. Wish you nothing but the best in retirement. But if I'm honest, selfishly, I hope to see you play again one day. I really do. I think Call of Duty needs more Damon Barlow. Chance it really does.
I want to see him go pro in like 7 different esports. I want him to just every single time a new game comes out for him to go crazy and just be a pro like right off the rip. Like he can do whatever he wants, but I agree. I would love to see him back on the sticks one day. You know, as soon as possible would be nice, but you know, let him do him. I will say, by the way, not just the championships, the tournament wins, all that fun stuff. He's also got like a 76-78% series win on his like lifetime record, which is like that means from start to finish just dominant.
That's
like not a single like it's absurd. Like 76 win percent is ridiculous for a career, Ben.
That's fantastic stuff, and obviously, you know, we wish you all the best, Karma, in your retirement. Enjoy your family time. You definitely have earned it. But to kind of turn things back to the series we have right now, we'll take a look at our tactical play presented by the U.S. Army from the Search and Destroy. Got our Rex's takeover in round 1. It was looking pretty bleak, if I'm honest. 3v5 for Minnesota Røkkr. But you just never know when God RX is still alive and has a sniper rifle and is hitting shots like that. Turns the round on its head. Well played from Silly just to be disciplined. And overall, God RX's snipes the entire game were phenomenal.
Really was, and I think the biggest moment, obviously the snipes are nice, but then as soon as he spots Proto in the ditch, he's like, oh, I can just hide for the next like 10 seconds and just play around the box and like doesn't even need to win gunfight. So not just the flashiness, he makes sure he doesn't ego child, doesn't make the round even more difficult on Silly than it needs to be. So does the flashy thing, does the smart thing, gets the round win, and like it wasn't necessarily the most tactical play, but like the most tactical stuff we saw was from Seattle, and it was like one round, and other than that, they just had no success. So like might as well make a montage, right? Like,
yeah, he really may as well. As Minnesota Røkkr find themselves 2-0 up in this series, fighting to stay alive at their own home series. Of course, a win here, and there'll still be work that needs to be done, but we shall wait and see. As we now head over to game number 3, Seattle Surge. You can see some energy here, but I think you brought up an interesting point in the commercial break. Just the amount of times we've seen teams kind of go 2-0 up. Feels like it's happened a fair amount this weekend.
I mean, I know at least the first 2 series that happened yesterday, it was team goes up 2-0. Either the reverse sweep does happen or almost happens. We obviously had the reverse sweep the series just before this, so like, or the 2 series ago, I should say. But they've happened all over the place. By no means is this over. But I will say Seattle has to do some prayer to the COD gods, have to figure something out, come to like sell their soul to the COD devils. Like, I don't know if that's possible, but they got to figure something out in that regard, because like they are just not destined to win. It doesn't seem like.
Yeah, trying to feel like that for sure. Is well, game number 3 underway. It's going to be A and B controlled by Seattle Surge, but I want to send it now into Master Gaming listening to Minnesota Røkkr.
What's your bathroom? Bathroom. Bathroom. Slacked. He ran. He's weak. Okay, I think he's on the. Nice. Wait, one's on C. One's on C. They're camping. They're spawning back on C. I spawn water tower. 20 crates, I think. 20 crates. Another one. One against that green. I'm coming help. Bathroom. He's crates, Brian. That one's trees. Yo, crates. He's jumping. I got one. Good job, dude. One shot. I'm pushing through your bathroom. Okay. Go. Get out. I'm backing up. Sorry. I'm going back. They're going B. I'm cutting off their mid range. One secret. Yeah. Two mid checks. I got one. One more. Same spot. He didn't down. Try nade. Sam dead. Deep secret. He's go for a week. I'm gonna kill him. He's getting elbow. One shot. Elbow. He's absolute. Double. Yeah, one's behind me. That's fine. I can use up trees right away. We try to go. Yep. I don't see anything new. Look, boiler, proto. He's you. I mean, oh, fuck. Nothing tracks.
Actually, no one.
Wait, I'll give you our water.
Octane's slow start in the search has continued. Here in the Domination, 0-3. Something not right, it feels like, with Octane. It's very rare to see him drop such low numbers, or no numbers at all. Finally gets on the board, though, with 1. B has been broken. It's Seattle Surge up 38-32.
Yeah, no, I have zero concern about Octane's ability to bounce back here in this Domination. I would, if anything, just expect it. And, well, right now, at least in terms of map positioning, good luck. That is 10 players all over the place. You could basically pick a direction and just hope for the best. And it looks like Røkkr want to put the pressure over towards A, which, well, you see the spawns coming in from the side of Seattle Surge. They should be in a pretty good position to respond to it.
Team wins that gunfight somehow. As Minnesota Røkkr starting to develop a pinch over towards B. You'll see 2 players from Seattle Surge spawn out over towards C. There's a 2v2 actually now being on that side of the map. Assault looking to try and start off 2v2 with a win. Unfortunately, his teammate dies, so now he's left in a 1v2. C will be neutral. Will it actually be kept up by Seattle, or will it be a kind of a neutral and run? Nope. Octane looks like he's going to stay there to play for the cap. So B belongs to Minnesota Røkkr. Now it's where can you push? Can you try and retake control? Because so far, Seattle, the rotation game has been pretty spot on, Chance.
Pretty spot on, and they have themselves a fairly decent lead right now. Of course, it looks like over towards C, Minnesota Røkkr are going to be able to recapture that and get back on the board. And of course, they've had the B flag for quite some time, so they'll start chipping away at that lead. But really for Seattle, obviously, they want to get this B flag as quick as possible. And just for the fact that you got Slack spawning over towards the C side of things, should make it very easy for them to get the B flag.
Lead, Proto. Oh, no, there's one, there's 2. Nicely played. Silly and Exceed both will fall. Seattle still control A and B. And that lead starting to climb. It's nothing to maybe be too concerned about if you're a Minnesota Røkkr fan, but with 60 seconds left, if Seattle Surge can neutral C and still get out, maybe they could really cause some more damage here, but Proto only able to find one. Exceed wants to try and just fly straight forward. Maybe do a bit of damage limitation if nothing else.
Nice little stuff coming in from Exceed as well, trying to find some kills you see in the feed, and well as bottom right of the map, Proto is going to be able to shut him down, but Seattle in these final 30 seconds, they just want to make sure they put a stamp on this one, right? You got a little bit of pressure over towards C. All what that's going to do is keep the Røkkr at bay. They're effectively in damage control mode. They don't want to lose the C flag. I don't know if they even have faith in themselves to really be able to pull out this B flag for the moment, because Octane's over there, posted up, ready to go. The very first half, very solid first half, I should say, coming in from Seattle Surge, and maybe the COD gods are starting to feel a little bit sympathetic to the cause.
Well, led by Proto, 15 and 10. Apathy right behind him at 13 and 11. Seattle will be very happy with that first half performance here in Domination, but it's not over yet. You're 50% of the way there. You still have to close this one out. Minnesota Røkkr down, but not out.
Start of the reverse sweep. If you're going to do it, you got to start it in Domination, right? Because that's the only possible way it happens. You might as well. I'm still not quite a believer yet. I don't want to have any hope about anything in 2020. It doesn't seem to be going too well in that regard. So try to stay as neutral as possible for this. But either way, Seattle playing well. Proto's gun's starting to get a little bit hot. I think still leading the lobby with that 15 kills he's been able to throw up. And Octane again might have had a slow start, but not too much for him to do, at least not in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, he poured up, right? Finishes the first half even, to your point. Just some of the positions he was in didn't really have all that much action. As we'll start off on board on Octane's POV. Great nade. Exceed will fall, and instantly Octane springs into life over towards B. Unfortunately for him, jumps out maybe the wrong time, but actually somehow still alive. Teammates to the rescue. Assault now pinned. Octane trying to find the pick. Unsuccessful so far. With the reinforcements from Minnesota, they're flying at B.
It looks like it's going to be a pretty big battle over towards this B flag, and of course there might be an errant battle over towards the bottom. You see Silly thinking about putting pressure over towards C, and that just gives Seattle something to think about. They're going to have to wrap back, and that's when Minnesota Røkkr trying to make that two-front war happen. As soon as you get the pressure on C, that's when you make your move towards the B flag as well. Try to spit the defensive line as much as you possibly can, but you see the smoke's on point. Not the easiest thing in the world. It can be very confusing to deal with. It's like the players inside of the vents area for Seattle able to come out on top.
Sort of looking to try and retake control of B, but just unsuccessful once again. Seattle have just surged over towards A. There's two players there fighting a 2 versus 3, and so far, so good. GutterX can't find the kill. Teammate in support. Finally, he will fall. As well as that, someone from Minnesota, that's going to be a C, is actually overextended towards C. That's going to be neutralized. Does he want to stay and cap it? Well, you got to remember, 3.5 minutes to go. Still, yes, plenty of time, but you do not want to allow Seattle Surge to keep on applying pressure, keep building a lead. You have to start getting control of this game sometime.
Yeah, I know Asim wants quite a bit of credit for the whole route man gets paid thing, and this time the route he took was just spawning there, you know? Sometimes it can be nice in games like, yo, that C flag's looking juicy for you team that does not have map control. Just go on over there for a moment. Asim says thank you very much, and well, now you can see again, just a super chaotic map. You got players on Seattle Surge around all 3 flags. You got players from the Minnesota Røkkr around all 3 flags. What's the strategy? Win the one-on-one gunfight if you do it. Whatever flag it happened at, it's yours now, and Røkkr, well, they win them all, and it looks like they're going to start, well, maybe not the 3 flag cap, but they do get the neutral over towards C to start working at that 25-point deficit.
More importantly, Assault has kept them off the A flag. There's going to be 1 player left from Seattle, and maybe now the spawns will start to stabilize. Seattle Surge still going to be spawning out towards C. Minnesota Røkkr have full control over B and have reclaimed the home flag. So with 2.5 minutes to go, the lead, 20 points for Seattle Surge. Minnesota Røkkr starting to make the comeback, but a couple of quick breaks or fast overextensions maybe from Seattle Surge could apply even more pressure, and that's exactly the game plan from Seattle. And leading the charge over towards the home flag, but he will fall. There is still 1 player there. That's Panda. And again, players from Seattle off spawn just consistently going to start rotating over towards A. They cannot afford to lose C, however.
I do love that map awareness by Asim that moment as well. They knew they had to hunt Panda down. They took the time to find him. We saw a moment like that in the first Hardpoint as well, of just some player behind enemy lines. They are doing a fantastic job of keeping track of their opponent. As soon as they're not calling out 1 name, they know they need to find that person, and so far, so good in that regard. What was a 25-point lead, now down to about 10. But Røkkr still quite a bit of map pressure in and around the A and B flag. They're in a pretty good spot to work on this comeback.
Minute 30, however, Seattle do have numbers now as they start to collapse in over towards the home flag. of Minnesota Røkkr. Now, I'm curious to see if anyone from Minnesota spawns out towards C. You would, if you're a Seattle fan, hope not. And well, as I say that, 2 players spawn out towards C. They're going to put pressure there and go for the neutral. And the worst case scenario has happened for Seattle. They've lost the fight over towards A. As 5-6 point game with 60 seconds left. And all of a sudden, this could be bad news for Seattle Surge. They have 1 player over towards B. That's number 9, Proto. Last man up. Has to win his 1v. Does win his 1v, but the trades are there. Minnesota Røkkr look good to retake control of this game.
This is the push, though. You got Assault looking over Asim, but Asim is by his lonesome. There's going to be a bunch of players on Seattle Surge that are there to chop him down. You got the smoke to push out Assault, and you're going to have a lot of bodies on the B flag, and I'd have to imagine they're going to be able to get it. The feed is going their way. Now the question is, how long can they hold it for? Because Minnesota quick on the response.
He's following gunfights. Essentially, might just win the game. Assault being so patient, but he doesn't have teammates there. Finally, they push forward. Slacked. Has he done just enough for Seattle? Proto wants to push forward. Bear in mind, no one from Minnesota Røkkr has been able to overextend towards C. The fight's still going on at B, and with 20 seconds left, credit to Seattle Surge. So resilient. Just when it looked like Minnesota Røkkr were going to do just enough, Seattle recomposed themselves. A fantastic push towards B. They win the map, and they stay alive in the series.
Nice little bounce back, nice little show of resilience, and I love the way that second half played out as well, because you basically have Seattle Surge. When they did not have the AB set up for maybe 3 minutes of that second half, they kept trying to go for A, kept trying to manipulate the map in different ways. It never paid dividends. Eventually, towards the end, they say, all right, screw it, let's just flood over towards the B flag. Next 15 seconds, they got it, it's theirs, and they win the game as well. So sometimes you got to go back to the old faithful. Just everyone flood together, try to win the gunfights, and out on top. So maybe the start of something beautiful just happened, Ben.
No, Apathy started the game hot, finished the game hot as well. 24 kills to his name, 21 deaths. Right behind him was Proto, the new addition to the Seattle Surge, 22 and 20. Exceed did his best for Minnesota Røkkr, 25 kills to his name, 24 deaths, but it just was not enough. 165 to 155, the final score there of Game 3 in favor of Seattle. Series now led by Minnesota Røkkr, 2-1. Potential, maybe, for a reverse sweep. And of course, when we talk about Game 4, we talk about the Hardpoint's chance. Are you feeling optimistic that we go the distance here, or maybe a bit more pessimistic?
Nah, I'm going to the old theme. 2020. I feel no optimism about anything,
Come on,
right? Like,
man, you can't be this on the fence.
Well, no, it's how are you supposed to predict a series where one team is playing with a substitute player and the other team has had nothing really on the year go their way? And even when they looked fantastic yesterday against Atlanta FaZe, what do we see the first 2 maps? They looked like a completely different team. So I think Seattle, I mean, I wouldn't say is the toughest team to predict, because generally you just predict that they're going to lose and it pays off. But this type of series where ordinarily I would lean Minnesota, because of the substitute though, I would lean Seattle. But because Seattle is just, again, had an unfortunate series of events for the past couple months, it's just too tough to call. It really is. So what's your prediction, Ben? If you want to throw me on the spot.
We're going Game 5. I believe the Seattle Surge will reverse sweep.
Game 5, round 11. You're going to have Octane and Pander in a 2v1 again.
It's just hard. It's just hard to say that.
And map 5 is Petro too, so like we might see the. No, I'm just kidding. It's not.
Oh, that would be. That would have been. What is map 5 out of curiosity?
I have no idea. Honestly, it could be Petro. I can't remember. So I'm assuming it's not. I'm playing the odds on this one.
Fair enough. Yeah. Either way.
Yard though, Hardpoint. I'm like 90% sure about that one. Yes.
You're the memory guy in this partnership here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and assume you're correct, because normally you are, to be fair. But either way, Minnesota Røkkr up 2-1. You're absolutely right though. When you talk big picture, it's very hard to predict a series like this, right? Because of one team playing with a sub, it sometimes make you think that they have a disadvantage, if you will. But Seattle Surge, you just never know. And I believe we have an interesting season-long statistic to show you, and it's Octane at the top. Top 5 overall KD on the year. Octane sits at a 1.29. And as brutal as it is, if there was ever an example of statistics, not really mattering all that much, I mean, there's a prime example. Octane has been phenomenal on the year. He really, really has. But you look at where Seattle Surge are as a team, as a unit, not been great. This is top 5 overall KD from yesterday. A 1.42 out of Octane. It's crazy. You have a player who is so unbelievably talented, and Seattle Surge it feels like they couldn't even buy one if they wanted to.
It's a team game, Ben. I mean, how many times do we see a player replacing someone else on a roster? And like, let's go through the rest. Like Mac Meltz, I'm not ready to say he's a better player than Zero at all. Like in this game, maybe, sure. Like I'll be willing to accept that because Mac is disgusting. But as a 1-to-1, that is not a trade I expect to happen and like magically fix New York. But it worked out great. Awakening replacing Mox. Mox has been one of the better players, or at least like decent in the league for however many years since World War II. Like he's been around for a while, even before that, honestly. But I would not really be willing to say that Awakening is a better player than Mox. But it might be just the type of thing the team needs for chemistry purposes, because it's the 1 AR meta and the 4 subs in this game that sometimes players, if they're the flex, it just never perfectly works out for them. So team chemistry, by far the most important thing. I think that's the story we've had this year. I mean, again, we even have like Pristina replacing Gunless. Like, yes, Pristina's the world champion, Gunless isn't, but Gunless is insanely good at Call of Duty. By no means is that a guaranteed like 1-for-1 trade that's going to be beneficial, but at the same time, seems to be working out all right. I think still doing incredibly well on the Hardpoints in Chicago. So like, it's never like a perfect thing, right? So I think the ultimate takeaway is just that, like, yes, you can have that one guy on your team that's going off, but you really need, you know, all 5. Hard-hitting analysis, I know.
You're absolutely correct, and you're also correct about game number 4. It is going to be a Hackney Yard Hardpoint, and potentially this could be where Seattle Surge send us to that game 5. And again, just to reiterate some of those KD stats, Octane has been, as an individual, phenomenal throughout the season. Do not get it mistaken. He is just incredible. He's a fantastic Call of Duty player. Like, end of discussion. I think that no one can argue that at all. But Seattle Surge, boy, has their struggle been bad.
Yes, it has. But again, the start of a reverse sweep might be something beautiful, Ben. Like, they had quite a few moments yesterday where they looked like a completely different team. We haven't seen them on Hackney Yard Hardpoint yet, but at the same time, the replacement, what you got is Proto in place of Karma, right? Speed Demon, freak of nature. We saw how fast he was playing on the past Domination. Just that hyper-aggressive, and it might be the type of thing that Seattle needs, and it might be a map where Proto's new addition pays off for him.
And this is a really interesting graphic as well on screen right now. Seattle Surge, this is their remaining groupings, right, for the season. Obviously, FaZe, Empire, Røkkr, that's a tough one. The London home series, well, they have London, they have Florida, they have Optic Gaming. Then the Toronto home series, they have Huntsmen, Ultra, and Optic Gaming. So it's not necessarily going to get much easier for Seattle Surge. Some pretty tough groups. Optic Gaming, of course, on a big upswing. I mean, it's going to be so hard, man. It really is for Seattle to turn things around. Octane, of course, doing his best KD on the season, best KD from yesterday. But again, Seattle Surge just not getting those CDL points, man.
I mean, in theory, though, it's actually pretty good groups for them to have, right? Like, yeah, it's not the easiest competition, but it's also quite a few teams in the next couple tournaments.
First.
Like, well, they're right above you as well. So, like, you have the opportunity if you start getting these wins. It's the teams like Optic that have the like a 20, 30-point lead, whatever it is, over Surge. The Toronto that's right around the same level. Like, I see it as an opportunity for Seattle to start knocking down the teams to get maybe a nice little bump towards the end of the year in the standings right before champs. And I think Minnesota is in a vaguely similar story where they're 4th or 5th in the standings right now. And their tournaments, by the way, they're playing like Empire, FaZe, and Chicago like nonstop for the rest of the year. They're always in ridiculous groups, but at the same time, that's an opportunity to try to knock those teams down a peg and get yourself a nice little points bump towards the end of the year. So both teams in a situation to potentially make some big gains.
Completely agree. As game 4 now underway. Seattle Surge start off strong. A little bit of a lead starting to develop, but still plenty of time left on our first hill. And our mind Exceed is ready and waiting on that rotation. And I'm not sure Seattle Surge know about it.
Know about it yet, but they're going to find out. Exceed is able to pick up 2 all the way along back. Seattle Surge, they're still going to be spawning around the area. So Exceed, his job, stay alive, buy time. See, right now, he's just hanging out down low. Proto, though, sniffs him out, hunts him down, and well, we talked about Minnesota doing a nice job of finding that 5th man that gets behind enemy lines. This time, Seattle making sure they get the job done, and they have a very nice lead. They got the rotation over towards P2. This is best case scenario for the Surge.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Minnesota Røkkr are going to really struggle to get even close towards this hill if Seattle can hold the current setup. Unfortunately, that's maybe a little too easy there for Silly. He finds himself a double. Godorex has already made his way to the window, and Octane is simply going to fall. That was way, way too easy for Minnesota Røkkr.
Yeah, Yes, it was Seattle. I mean, I guess the good news is they spawn right back, and you should be able to overwhelm GodRx. So you do get retention towards the hill, so I guess that's not too big of a harm, no too foul. I think they give away maybe an extra 5-6 points, so not the end of the world for having P2 broken that quickly. So still in a very decent spot. Minnesota, you see, actually still putting a little bit of pressure. They're making sure they get players up top just to cut mid-map off. They're trying to keep Seattle pinched back. Is actually still sending a player towards the hill.
Yeah, they really want to keep Seattle as far back as possible and just try and get themselves some early time on P3. The score 84-17. Seattle should be good to hit the 90-point mark. Exceed is ready waiting on the new help for Minnesota Røkkr, and this is now where we should at least start to see Minnesota Røkkr come back into this game.
Ooh, Exceed actually gets caught out. You see him getting shot in the foot just there. So man in the hill is going to fall. Not the best thing for the Røkkr, but you see they do slot right back into the hill. Everyone trying to come through this L side of thing. GodRx doing a very nice job to stay alive. Okay. And he finds the kill, and he had the teammates for support. Of course, no man actually inside the point.
Fortunately for GodRx, he's going to have a lot of work to do. Fortunately for GodRx, though, he's more than capable of doing said work. He finds himself 3 now, and teammates looking to try and trade. Again, Minnesota chipping away at Seattle's lead.
Yeah, chipping away, but Minnesota really not doing a fantastic job, right? Like, they get to the hill early. First man that was inside the hill, he gets picked out because his foot just a little bit, like one shoe size too big type deal, and then really you don't get a ton of pressure. I think they came into this hill with 17 points. They had a setup that maybe wasn't perfect, but still respectable, and really they only get, what, an extra 15 off of it, and Seattle was able to get a bit of time as well. So that is 3 hills back-to-back where Seattle Surge has done a very nice job. You look at the rotation, look who's in the hill first. Seattle Surge once again.
Yep. Looking to extend that lead, and things might get a little scary for Minnesota Røkkr. They're not careful. 100-33. Seattle, though, finally slayed out of the hill, but there's still a couple players in there. Octane finds himself a triple. Finally, Octane coming to life. He only sets at 8 and 10, but sometimes it just takes one brief moment, one nice little play, and all of a sudden you get your confidence right back. And Seattle Surge really starting to pull away here. Octane now on a 5 streak, eventually does fall, but so much damage in this first rotation of hills has been done by Seattle. They have a big lead, but again, it's one of those moments where, yes, they have a nice lead, but you still don't feel overly comfortable. It's almost 100 point. In fact, it will be a 100-point lead, and we're not even done on our first rotation yet.
Again, I've mentioned it before, let's not have hope yet for anything, Ben. It's by no means over, as you rightfully pointed out. Now you got a couple players on Seattle trying to work through the left side. GodRx says, thank you very much. I will take those free kills. That is the first push going to be stuffed. And well, now Seattle, not the best spot, right? They are going to be spawning very far out. And frankly, I know there's 47 seconds left on the hill. They basically are going to be able to set themselves up for one good opportunity to try to break the hill, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough. But as long as they can at least keep control of spawns for, P1, P2, they should be okay. But if they can contest or even break quickly, that would be the absolute best case scenario here for Seattle Surge. Meanwhile, Minnesota Røkkr picking up all of the time there, coming straight back into this game with 20 seconds remaining on the last hill of our first rotation. Now the fight's starting to develop. One towards new. GodRx will be first there for Minnesota Røkkr, but he has a lot to deal with here. In terms of Seattle Surge, Octane's up top. GodRx misses a lot of shots, and it was Octane that found the kill.
I'm pretty sure GodRx just ran out of ammo in his main gun, so he tried to make the play with the pistol, but shot's not as crispy as Nagafen might be able to pull off, one of the better players with the pistol. But either way, you talk about Seattle, they have had maybe one rough hill this entire game, but now they're back to P1. They had success the first go around. This time, at the very least, even if they're not going to be able to win this point and contest it for a long time, they still have the spawns for new. They are still in a good spot in this game.
And if Minnesota Røkkr can try and completely take control of P1 and push through, this really a key moment in the game. Minnesota Røkkr inside, but they have to try and push through. If Seattle get flipped here, Minnesota Røkkr will completely turn this map around and on its head. Seattle have to be so cautious. It's such a delicate, fine balance of wanting to push, wanting to contest the hill, but knowing how crucial those spawns are. And well, you're going to see the push come firsthand here from Minnesota Røkkr's POV. 1 player falls, 2 player falls. Beautiful job from Seattle. Proto's not done just yet. Proto with the movement connects as Asim had to reload. Seattle Surge can with a big sigh of relief. They managed to just defend that first wave, but there's more Minnesota players coming, and Assault isn't done just yet.
The question is do they have the smokes to actually start to break through? Because right now, no coverage on the cross, but maybe they don't need it. A lot of the kills coming in, and by the time you see the smoke, Slack is able to pick up a double kill with the nade, exceeding out the lone man by his lonesome. It looks like he's going to get chopped down as well, so that is the first push taken away. Seattle, they got a 60-point lead now. They get the next 40 seconds. They will be in an incredible spot to win the game.
Yeah, they can push at least over 200 points here as Minnesota Røkkr try and funnel towards the hill. And the first line of defense for Seattle Surge, he gets himself 2. Silly trying his absolute best. He'll manage to find himself 3 in quick succession, but he has to almost go on a solo mission, trying to be a hero here, momentarily at least, for Minnesota Røkkr, as Seattle do hit 200 points. Silly finds one more. Octane still in the hill, though, with the trade. And unfortunately for Minnesota, that really was their last push they could afford to go for. The Seattle 100-point lead. There's no way. Chance. There is no way they throw game 4 away.
I don't know why you say that, but all right, we'll go with it. 100-point lead in a great spot, but now you just made me incredibly nervous for the boys, but we'll see what happens. You got potentially Apathy able to make the big play. He's going to be top smokestack, might be able to find a kill, drop down, and get a couple more. And, well, Assault, you see, got the call out from his teammates, but didn't need the support from that end. But the pressure eventually able to break through for Seattle, who, and you might be right.
Seattle have been too good. Like, when you kind of break down this game, this map specifically here, they've just been too good. It's as simple as that. The rotations have been good. The gunfights they've been winning. The gunfights on rotation as well. Everything has gone Seattle's way. It's borderline impossible for them to lose this. It really, really is. I'm not trying to, jinx it so we have an epic comeback or anything like that. Seattle have played this exceptionally well, and I think they deserve all the credit in the world. As they are now just a few moments away from forcing in Game 5.
They absolutely have, and that, talk about the bounce back as well. They got, Slobber knocked into Map 2. Map 1 did not really go their way. Admittedly, it wasn't a beatdown, but to be down 2-0 after everything Seattle has had to deal with, to make the comeback like this, you love to see it. You really do. Fantastic performances the whole way around. And Ben, by God, you called it. We're going to see a game number 5 for Seattle. You talk about momentum that they were able to build for themselves. That was them bullying out Minnesota on Hackney Yard.
Yes, that was a phenomenal display, really, on this map from Seattle Surge. There's a look at, or we at least got to see a quick glance to play the game. That was disgusting. It was Octane. He finishes 22 and 22. Now, for me, when we talk about Game 5, I hope Seattle have short-term memory of what happened in Game number 2, because that was about one-sided as a search and destroy truly can be. We'll have a quick glance, though, at some of the numbers there from Game number 4. Overall, when you see those stats, it's pretty much even for everyone there on Seattle. Great job slaying, and overall, just better gameplay out of Seattle Surge. Chance.
Absolutely. And remember that time I cracked a joke about it being Petro Map 5? Well, Ben, it is in fact Petro Map 5, so this is somewhat of a deja vu situation, and we'll see how far that deja vu can continue. I swear to God, if we see a 2v1 with, Panda and Octane in the end, oh baby. Retribution, Ben. Retribution.
Potentially. We will wait and see. Congratulations to Seattle. They forced a Game 5. They've stayed alive. So we'll wait and see, of course, the result of that Petro Search and Destroy coming up next. But good resilience out of Seattle Surge with everything seemingly going against them. They've managed to send us the distance to that Game 5. For now, we're going to do a quick commercial break. When we return, though, we will have that Game 5 Search and Destroy.
This is huge. This is huge.
Seattle! What a start to the series!
Are you serious?
Apathy finds the triple.
Enable!
Karma starting to heat things up. It's the Octane Clinic.
Want to play search and destroy like a pro? Here's some S&D recon from the U.S. Air Force. This time, we're flying to Russia to get some recon on St. Petrograd. First, let's look at the spawns and bomb sites. The defense spawns right next to bomb site B. Really tricky to hit if you're on offense. However, bomb site A is in much more neutral territory and a lot easier to reach. Most pro teams tend to focus their early attention on bomb site A, so that's where we'll be focusing ourselves. If you're on defense, it's all about shutting down the offense's first push onto bomb site A. If you want to watch both mid-map and go for an early first blood, try starting right here with a sniper rifle. This is a great position to catch any attackers pushing the street or crossing the bomb site A. Let's see how GodRx of the Minnesota Røkkr does it. If you prefer a more explosive defense, grab a grenade and run straight for bomb site A. Once you're on site, aim right for the car in front of the diner. If any attackers are running straight for the bomb site, they'll run right into the explosion. If you're on offense, don't forget all of the ways the defense can pick you off. If you're crossing to A, drop a smoke grenade to cover yourself crossing the street so you don't get sniped. But if you want to fight back, grab a sniper of your own and hop right up here like pro player Simp. If you're not the type to sit back for a pick, grab an SMG and a smoke and hit mid-map fast. Throw your smoke grenade towards the defense spawn and run straight for the bomb site. With a little bit of luck, you might just catch the enemy completely off guard. There's your S&D recon for St. Petrograd. Good luck down there.
That was a look at the all-new series S&D Recon presented by the US Air Force. This season, the US Air Force brings you all the intel on S&D and look at how your favorite CDL pros do it. And the best part for me there, Chance, was that entire piece, especially with Seattle versus Minnesota. I am very, very excited for this. This is also, fun fact, the 5th Game 5 this weekend. 8 games, or 8 series, I should say, currently underway. This is the 5th one to go the distance. And Chance, you know, I wanted to see a Game 5, called the Game 5. Now it's just, for me, Seattle will close this out. I really believe this is the turning point.
Sure.
This is a turning point, Chance, for their entire season.
Sweet. I was going to ask you for a prediction. I was going to be like, oh, you're the one that's confident. You're the one that's getting everything right. Tell me what you think. But you wasted no time. Man. I appreciate that pick. I will say, I think
on the fence.
Okay. All right. Look, sometimes I like to be like Momo, you know? It's just you got to get the...
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, I mean, if I remember correctly, the last time these guys played on St. Petro, I think the storyline was we were like roasting Minnesota for like not watching the flank. I think they had 2 series back-to-back, both of which on Petro, where Minnesota basically just didn't watch the flank and just got dismantled 2 maps in a row to the point where I think it was Seattle tweeting out jokes. This would be the type of thing I wish I could like go back and check in time because I might be getting the storyline flipped, but there's something there and there's something flank related. That's the important key to this. But either way, Game 5, this is a map both of these teams have played quite a bit. Yes, it's a little bit different when one team is playing with Proto, one team is playing with Exceed, but for the most part, they're going to be experienced. We know Octane's willing to snipe. We know GodRx is going to be willing to snipe. We know the A site is generally going to be favored by both of these teams, but neither one is going to be afraid to try to mix things up. They both have a fairly deep strat pool they're working with.
You're absolutely right. Winner of this, of course, has a date later on today with the Dallas Empire, and of course, the bottom side of the bracket. An interesting one as well. So there's still plenty of Fluidity action to come. But just to kind of reiterate the story about the flank, if you remember, pretty much all season, whenever we've seen Seattle on exactly this map, we've talked about the flank and how they've so often left it open. And I mean, we saw it yesterday against Atlanta FaZe, for example. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was Priesta that pushed straight down the street, and he picked up 3, and it was essentially Seattle sitting ducks. It was way too easy. Now, I do not expect to see those same mistakes happen again today, and if I'm honest, I'm surprised Seattle keep allowing this map to come through, but they do, and it's Game 5 again. We know Seattle Surge's record in Game 5s hasn't been fantastic, but again, I firmly believe this is going to be a turning point in their entire season.
I'm happy with the pick for Seattle, if I'm honest. Like, this is a map they've played quite a bit, and again, I mentioned, I think, during the map too, of like, with at least this full current roster with Proto, all of that, like, sort of thing, like, they haven't been able to, like, scrim S&D, like, go over VODs, yes, do your research, yes, talk it over to yes, but not actually playing it. They played it yesterday, went to a Game 5 round 11 against FaZe, like, they went to round 11 on this map, so this is one of the maps they have the most experience with his current roster, with their old roster, and the exact same thing can be said about Minnesota. They've played this map a ton. Everyone knows what's going to be going on. It's just about the micro adjustments as well as just the gunfight wins. Like, this could very well be a game where one of the snipers just takes over, gets so many first bloods where you're always giving her that team advantage, and that could be the type of thing that wins you the game. Like, we don't know exactly what we're going to see, but we know both of the teams are happy to play on this map, and we know both of them desperately want the win. It sucks that they have to play Dallas Empire after that, but like, hey, at the very least, you guarantee yourself the extra 10 CDL points. Maybe you set yourself up to pull off a big upset and make a run. You never know.
It was, of course, GodRx in Game 2 who was popping off with the sniper rifle, if you remember. It seems like quite a while ago, but for me, I think you have to focus on Octane, right? Terrible performance in Game number 2. Awful. Probably one of the worst he's ever going to have in his playing career.
Tell me how you really
turn
feel.
it around? I mean, I'm just being honest. It's our job, right? I'm just being brutally honest. I think he turns it around here. He's already turned it around in the series so far. But for me, all eyes on Octane. The first few rounds are going to be pretty important for him, just to kind of get back into that rhythm. We obviously know just how talented of a player he is. We saw his stats earlier on as well. But let's not forget that yesterday, the fashion of which Seattle Surge actually lost that Game 5, that final round, Celium peaks at the absolute perfect, and I mean perfect time, that by the time the bomb was going down, it just ran out of time by, what was it, like 0.01 second, 0.02 seconds. That was how, honestly, Seattle Surge lost yesterday. So for me, I guess having thought about it a little bit more, maybe this is a good pick for them in Game 5. Definitely a comfortable one. I think you're absolutely right about Proto. You know, coming in as a new guy on the team, you want to feel as comfortable as possible. And this is a map we have seen Seattle Surge on a lot this season.
I mean, again, just potential deja vu, the redemption story ultimately for Seattle. And of course, maybe the start of a nice little run in the tournament for Minnesota. Again, it sucks that they had to substitute out Alex for Exceed, but maybe the replacement, since Alex could not play at full capacity, will be beneficial for them, at least in this specific tournament. So both teams hungry for the win. Both teams want redemption, because it's not just Seattle that's been biting the bullet. Past couple tournaments, Minnesota has done the exact same. So both teams, again, very hungry to try to pull this win off, and we'll see who clutches up.
You're absolutely right. Of course, thank you to everyone joining us. You can earn some awesome rewards just by watching. It's great. Finally, we get drops enabled as Call of Duty Esports. It's a phenomenal thing. So enjoy all the games while you can, because you're going to be getting all those awesome rewards. Hopefully, you guys are getting some cool stuff. But again, just waiting for this game number 5 to get underway. St. Petro, Search and Destroy. We've seen these two teams on this exact map before. We obviously saw Seattle late last night go the distance against Atlanta FaZe. Unfortunately, just were not able to get the job done.
And of course, you mentioned Octane as your player to watch from the side of Seattle. Definitely a player to keep in the back of your mind, like especially if it's the sniper battle between him and GodRx. Like, you got to be paying attention to both of that. But even a step further, I think Apathy is a guy I'm going to be staring at quite a bit. Seattle has been phenomenal with him in Search and Destroy. He has been the shining light for them in the game mode, because obviously S&D has not been their bread and butter. But he was the guy, if I remember correctly, last time they were playing Minnesota on this map, that he was the one going on the flanks, making the reads, getting the timings down to really open up the map. So maybe he can sort of throw the team on his back and make up for, not saying anything happened in map number 1, but something might have, and make up for that in game number 5, and all will be forgotten.
So just to kind of talk big picture between these two teams then, Chance, if you had to kind of pick two players going toe-to-toe, we obviously talk about so often about like the X factor in this specific series, in this specific game 5. Who are the two kind of players you're looking at from both teams?
I think it would probably be a Seam and Apathy. Like, I mean, again, like the sniper, like, You never know when a sniper is
right?
going to be going off, so it is one of those things where occasionally that player on St. Petro can just kind of take over and get all the bloods, but generally speaking, I think the SMG aggression, that entry man, is going to have a lot more place of importance, right? Like, even towards the A site, how many of those gunfights in boxes, whoever gets that first blood, now all of your teammates can come in behind, all of a sudden you get A site control, and you can do that from either side. So I'm looking at the entry men, and whether it might be Proto taking the rollover for Apathy just a little bit, but again, Apathy been tuning up a little bit better in S&D on the year, so it's him versus Asim in my mind for at least the first blood race.
And Chance, we may be bad luck for Seattle Surge.
I don't want to talk about it, but I'm looking at my monitor and I'm nervous.
I've been told I'm going to bring it up, even though I think they just got it. I think they just got it working. The observer feed just went down, but I believe the observers have worked hard to get it right back up, so we should be okay. So apologies about this brief little bit of fill. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not anywhere near as long as what happened yesterday.
Well, actually, no, you saw the rule change though, right?
I did see the rule change.
Okay,
I know there's a rule that has been implemented that if there's a technical broadcast delay for, I want to say, was it 30 minutes? 30 minutes, the game will just have to be played on its side in respect of competitive integrity. I think it's a fantastic rule change. Honestly, hopefully we never get to see it, if I'm honest. Hopefully we never have a delay that is that long. But looking at my screen, I have the observer feed back up, which I think means we're A-OK. So the game should be started here very, very shortly. I know the Seattle fans probably just had a mini panic attack as I said that, but we should be good to get game number 5 underway here very, very soon. But in terms of predictions, I gave mine, Chance. Are you going to go full Momo here, go full on the fence, or do you actually have a prediction?
Look, look, for this series, I'm going to repeatedly default back to the situation of I don't know what type of prayer was sent to the COD gods from Seattle. It panned out for maps 3 and 4, but I'm biting my tongue. I will not attempt to jinx, cast it, nothing. I refuse to offer any opinion. If you want to know players, anything like that, I got you. You want to know prediction? No. Nah, not today, Ben. Not today.
Okay, I respect it. At least you're sticking with your guns. But I believe, as I said before, the observer feeds are back. We were obviously just talking about the official rule. I think it's 20 minutes. It may potentially be from this point on. No, but from this point on, it would be 20 minutes from now. But either way, I'm looking at the observer feed right here. Worst case scenario, players will start the game, and we'll rate. You have your feed as well, right, Chance?
Yeah, it's up. It looks good.
Right, we can radio it. It'll be fine. You might not be able to see it, but at least the players will play, right? At least that's a saving grace. Should be fine. Should be fine. I think they're actually just about to start the game.
I have zero fear about our casting ability. That's not where my place of concern is right now. My place of concern is for the mental health and well-being of Seattle Surge and all their fans and their management. Because holy dear, Ben.
I'm praying that this game starts in the next 30 seconds, just for
I mean,
kind of sad. All right. For the Seattle fans, the Seattle management, it's been a hard year. I've had the privilege of working with some of them. They're close friends. I want to see them turn their year around. I really do, because it's been an interesting one. As I'm just gonna refresh my feed. We're about to get it underway. I just got official word. Okay, thank you. Whew. My heart was worried there for Seattle Surge. But either way, if you're just tuning in, the storyline of the series so far, Game 1, Hardpoint, pretty back and forth, really, until Minnesota Røkkr just kind of pulled away with it. They go 1-0 up. We then head over to a search and destroy where Octane from Seattle Surge goes 0-8, and it was a brutal beating. It truly was. Then we head over to Game 3, Domination. That's the turning point in the series. Seattle showed signs of life. They look fantastic. They close it out relatively comfortably. Then, of course, the Game 4 Hardpoint we just saw was extremely one-sided, Chance.
And I will say, just as the only thing I could think of left that we really haven't touched on is this is the type of series I do think is genuinely more important right now for Seattle Surge to get the ball rolling, to get some CDL points, to get any sort of confidence. They just need something. And yes, Minnesota absolutely need to get the ball rolling. The past 2 tournaments have not been great. So yes, they want the win, but even still, they're playing it's easier to chalk it up and say, hey, we had to play with a sub on super short notice. So that's why I think the game is more important for Seattle Surge to win. But again, Minnesota Røkkr, it's their home series. If they have anything to say about it, they're going to try to piece them up like they did in Map 2.
They absolutely will. As Seattle Surge, of course, they're going to be on the attack here in round number 1. And yesterday it was it every attacking round was 1, or was it defensive round? Or no, that wasn't.
It was on. I think it was on Gunrunner.
Different map. Yeah, that was Gunrunner. My mistake. But either way, Seattle did look very, very good on this map yesterday as we still wait for a first blood to come through. Again, Seattle on the attack. Very, very patient.
That mid-map cleared. I would have to imagine that Seattle Surge has the information that they're going to know at least 2 players are on A, and they might be expecting at least up to 4. I'm sure they know that a couple players with the airs like to sit in the back. And actually, now that they spotted GodRx, they should know it's only 3 players in and around that A site. Let's all get together and take them down in the first blood by way of Octane.
Yeah, that's nice. Gets the sniper pick on towards GodRx, so already starting a little bit better than he was. In game number 2 is Asim now on your screen. He should be able to find a relatively simple pick there on the proto party. The bomb, he had absolutely no idea. Asim almost got himself the second. Exceed, he will drop as well. Seattle Surge start off well, winning round number 1.
And there you go. Nice plays coming in from Seattle Surge to get the ball rolling. I will say Asim actually, he made somewhat of a smart play, and I would say just because so many of his teammates had already fallen, best case scenario, might have had the opportunity to just wait even longer, right? Like count out that like 4 seconds, try to get it in the last possible moment. But either way, the play call was in. After Octane gets that first blood, flood the site, win the gunfights. They take down Silly, take down Asim. It's just the falling domino effect for Seattle Surge to get that ball rolling.
Yeah, very well executed round number 1. Now for Minnesota Røkkr, of course, their turn to go onto the attacking side of things. And I mean, you can see their intent straight off the rip. You have to wait just a little bit, and then you can try and find yourself a first blood with a sniper rifle. That's definitely going to help. Of course, that Octane GodRx sniper fight, one I'm sure all the neutrals are excited to watch.
Octane, I think, has the better angle. The flash is going to come in, and the shot is going to get missed. Thinking about the reach, Octane gives a very small window of opportunity, but an incredibly difficult shot to hit. And I will say, that pressure over towards A, Seattle, they got complete coverage around the site.
And just a update, I believe, currently watching a delayed feed by around about 10-15 seconds, so you're not really missing too much. At the end of the day, at least we have the action. That's what counts. Because now we find ourselves with Applesy, Slack, and Panda in a 2v3. As I say that, though, we're back live. So this is currently absolutely live gameplay. We're seeing no delays whatsoever. As GodRx now with the pistol will manage to find the pick on towards Slack, but that's going to leave GodRx and Assault in a 2 versus 1, kind of last man up for Seattle.
And that's a very nice stun coming in just for the information. The nade not really going to be able to connect with too much, but Pander, bomb is going to get planted. You get quite a bit of time to work with, but at the same time, what do you do and where do you go? He's trying to bait out the rotation, but Assault is never going to move.
Almost found the first. Time is ticking. 30 seconds left. The peaks. Under is picked off. Minnesota Røkkr tied up 1-1.
Just a nice little bounce back round. I think the important kill was GodRx somehow managed to get behind enemy lines and shot Slack in the back, as might have been an opportunity for Slack to pick up 2 kills around that door. So again, just a nice little collapse on the A site. 2 for 2. Should the team is finding success on offense.
I thought it was this map. It wasn't, but it very well may well end up being that exact way, with attacking teams having a ton of success. We'll see Octane off the start here, and of course you saw this in the recon piece, and that's exactly why that is such a strong position to snipe from. Octane finds the first blood. Asim never saw it coming.
On a nades getting used from Minnesota Røkkr on the defensive end. They're actually putting quite a bit of pressure potentially on the flank, and it's the same thing. Shades of yesterday. GodRx finds 2.
Octane at least responds with a snipe, but Exceed is still there. He shuts down Octane. Seattle Surge, I've got to ask, right? I have to ask the question. When you're going over VOD on this map, is that not something that is brought up? We should probably watch the flank. I know Octane is sniping kind of top pool hole there, but still, man, that is far, far too easy. GodRx just walked straight down the street and shot 2 players in the back. Same thing we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I will say they sent enough players on the flank, and they didn't exactly run like straight through the tracks like where Octane had coverage. They ended up coming like through the restaurant area, and one player went all the way around. But I mean, you're just right. You're just correct. Like even still, like someone has to pay attention. What a lot of teams do, they'll like slide into that little cubby area, like past where the car explodes, and then they'll just have at least one player sit and kind of stare at that little angle for a while until you start to push into the A site. No one seemingly willing to take that role, or maybe just not enough bodies around each other to fill in that gap. But you're exactly right. Got to figure something out, because it's twice in 2 days.
It's a common theme. I mean, it's not even just twice in 2 days. It's almost every single time we see Seattle Surge on this map, the same thing happens. As round 4 underway, it is Minnesota Røkkr up 2-1. First blood from Slack. The trades follow through. Seattle with the numerical advantage. Got Rex and Assault up. Minnesota Røkkr trying to produce a 2 versus 4. This is going to be very, very tough. Seattle surely should be good to tie things up 2-2.
And I'm pretty sure Panda actually just got the information on where the bomb carriers as well. I think Assault tried to throw down some shots. Octane obviously knows the rough idea of where GodRx just was. And, well, you can see, just trying not to make any mistakes. Everyone's just kind of hanging out. 2 players near that B site, the other 2 hanging out at A. But they should know this bomb is going to be slowly pushed towards B.
Back, we'll find GodRx. And honestly, that kill alone should seal the fate of this round. Assault 1v4. Doesn't stand a chance. Octane finds a snipe. Seattle tied up 2-2.
2 offensive rounds, 2 defensive rounds, back to back. And credit to the SMG trio that was around the A site right there for Seattle Surge. I think Slack was the one that found the first blood through the window. You see Minnesota's strategy: cut through the smoke, make sure you at least get the trades, and they do that part effectively. But then Proto just waiting in the wings. There are a ton of teams that around that steps window area only have like 1 player responsibility, but Seattle this time double stacked it and got that advantage. Nice slides this time. They figured it out.
Just enough to dip underneath the scope of Octane's sniper rifle. So no first blood at this round for Octane, but I do want to give him massive, massive props and kind of what I expected to see happen. Octane starts 5-2 after a disappointing game 2. Now this time,
that's the angle. This is what I was talking about, man.
Exactly that. The adjustment made. Panda watching the flank. Of course, you still have Octane with a sniper rifle watching mid street as well. First blood does come through for Panda as he peeked over towards A. Much better from Seattle Surge this round. However, still some work to be done. Got a Rex and Assault up. Their flank does come through late this time and only finds 1. In actual fact, Got a Rex is in support of Assault. This could be pretty bad news for Seattle, but I love how quick they were to react to that. Get out of the site.
I was about to say,
never mind. We'll rotate
as soon
over
as they get out, they are going to be free and clear. You're going to get your Panda AR player up in the back. That's an impossible gunfight just about to win. Time is not on their side. Slack is getting the information, and you see the bait. He's not trying to peek for the gunfight. He's trying to waste time, and he does so perfectly.
As long as Assault doesn't somehow find himself 2, should be fine. Well, there's 1 who will fall. That now leaves GodRx. The 1 versus 2. Slack and Panda are up. He has all the information in the world that Panda was going to be back here. It's obvious if nothing else, and he almost found the kill. Seattle Surge, though.
And we didn't get to see it in map number 2 this game, but what we saw yesterday from Seattle, their S&D actually was looking pretty good. Very decisive, making a lot of calls. We had that moment where it was Panda and Slacked in the 2v3 they had on the Arclov earlier, where just made a call, made the commitment, ran together. They're rapping back and forth between bomb sites. Whoever right now has been shot calling for Seattle has had the confidence. They are making very solid plays, and it's about making sure that, well, you keep getting those first bloods as well. Well, not horrible spots, just stressful. Yeah. Now, of course, you got that bomb in the 5v4, slowly working their way towards the A site. You don't have to rush things, because if you do, nades might end up dropping you. And well, you see, actually, Seattle, they're going to feel the pressure. They're debating on whether or not they want to push in. But you do that, you might be fighting a bit of a 2v4. This bomb not going to get planted yet, but Seattle is trying to get that nice little setup, but everything honestly covered. Side of Minnesota, players watching top window. You got the flank covered, players down low. Exceed wins the one-on-one gunfight. Trades come in by the side of Octane. Man advantage now in favor of Seattle, who are nice and stacked up. And keep in mind, Apathy waiting in the wings in that door. The time ticking down. Seattle, this is absolutely their round to win. Panda might just have put the stamp on. Silly, good luck, have fun. He is going to fall. And the Surge, able to get 3 in a row. Nice little bounce back coming in from them. And Ben starting to feel just a little bit more, not nervous, but that nervous excitement, as Seattle again has just been fierce with the amount of momentum they have had in the past couple rounds. But of course, as we go on to the next one, Seattle back on the attack. They've shown a couple different looks, but I had to guess they're going to lean towards this A site, because even when they're getting picked apart, They're still sticking with that old faithful, and of course Panda last time around did a much better job of watching the flank. This time, instead of the sniper, get a tad bit more passive. And well, you talk about passive, Minnesota doing quite the opposite. They have 4 men pushing through the A site. They are hyper aggressive on this, and a team already looking for gunfight. Seattle though, all turtled up in their spawn, all inside of the pool area, and Godarek says, oh dear, here they are. So the bait has actually been set perfectly from Seattle to make sure they secure that first blood. But of course, first blood is one thing, map pressure is the other, but now they are hunting them down one by one.
And that now turns into a 5 versus 3. Seattle Surge so close and putting themselves at match point. They just need to close this round out. 40 seconds left. Of course, Seattle on the attack. They're eyeing up the A site. If you're a Minnesota fan, you still have one player deep at the back. That, of course, is going to be Assault. He's covering B just in case.
He's got to make a play, leaving the door open. The bait was set. The trap is perfect. Closes it, and now he knows time is ticking. Might be able to take Proto, or Slack knows more. The wall bang coming through. You love to see it, and that, well, that's just going to put the stamp on the round. 4v1 bomb down Assault. Best of luck.
$35 seconds. Assault.
Man, apparently you're just way too laggy for this game. You know what? You absorbed the tech issues that we were having instead of the players. It is now just Ben. But either way, Seattle will be happy that it's Ben with the issues this time and take a nice little 5-2 lead. And again, you just got to go back to talk about the decision making. You talk about the strat call coming in from Seattle. Let's all hang out around pool. And again, you talk about just perfect bait. It was the attempt for Minnesota to push through, but right into the trap. Seattle now just picking their opponent apart. So it feels that pressure. They do not want to go with roll table strat to this A site. See the bomb at least leaning to map, and frankly, only one man really to defend that B site should Minnesota play it fast enough, but rat back potentially in. Godarek just trying to spot out as much information as possible. Knows players are deep in the back. Saw Proto inside the tunnel, and Minnesota, the debate is in. What do they want to do? What is the decision going to be? Try to force it in towards the B-bomb side, or wrap back? But Seattle, talk about perfect coverage they have across the map. This is a very nice setup, and it allows them to react to pretty much anything. That's Silly's job as the flank, but he gets spotted on the cross. That just means number 7, number 8, Apathy, and Slack, they can start going on that flank while this bomb gets pushed in. Smokes are forcing some AR players to back down. Gunfight win by 1 AR, and Pander able to stay alive in the back as well, and he's important. 30 seconds left on the clock. Pander, he's got to stay alive, and Minnesota knows this. That's why they're trying to force it and hunt him down, but the timing perfect for Pander. Takes down one with him. 20 seconds left on the clock. Seattle 2v3. This is a very doable situation. Player off bomb, gonna get caught. Slack just needs to stay alive. He's able to dip out, and after that, he's got the cross of the bomb. He knows the player just moved on to site. He gets the timing perfect. 6 seconds left. Slack just needs to play his life. Actually, he doesn't. Bomb is gonna go down. He knows he's there. Straight up 1v1. Slack looking for this win. World champion shoulder peeks from Silly. Gunfight advantage to Silly, gonna go over top, but Slack is gonna let him know to shut him down, to give Seattle their first win against a non-Guerrillas related team. Clutch in the end, the 2v3 for Slack, not a problem at all. They were down 0-2, ice in the veins for the series, ice in the veins for the 2v3 in the end. Seattle Surge, oh what a day, Ben. Retribution is here. Ben, you're still not here. Are you here? Do you even know?
Am I here? I don't know.
Who knows,
I just got to enjoy it. First of all, phenomenal job solo casting. That was...
Oh, thanks, man.
That was great.
That.
I'm not sure if I'm in or out or whatever, but
Dude,
Seattle fans
I love run-on sentences.
Seattle fans can thank me later. I call them to win, and I get all the tech issues, apparently. So, you're welcome. You're welcome, Seattle fans. Although let the record show, I called that. I called that. Thank you. I know, right? Here we go. You're right. Seattle. I mean, it's also a win against the opponent, the real team. That's, I feel, pretty good. Pretty good. Game 5. We'll get a quick look at stuff game played again. Really, the way that round ended was phenomenal. I thought Slacked, all he had to do was stay alive, but just barely in the nick of time, bomb gets planted. Silly versus Slack for the 1v1. Slack stays disciplined despite Silly throwing shoulders. And Slack, push comes to shove, knew he had to try and make the play. As soon as he has him weak, Fearless wins the fight. Slacked keeps Seattle alive. And now I believe we've lost you, Chad. So it's all me. It's all gone wrong. But again, Seattle fans, you can thank us later. We'll take the tech issues. Okay, so don't you worry about Seattle Surge. They now have a nice little date with Dallas Empire later on in the day. As going to the bottom side of the bracket, of course, Chicago Huntsmen versus the LA Guerrillas. That's still to come. Plenty of calls to the action overall. We've had an exciting day and an exciting weekend as well. So many Game 5s. You absolutely love to see it if you're a neutral, and something tells me the Game 5s aren't going to stop. Of course, as I said, still to come. Up next, the Los Angeles Guerrillas versus the Chicago Huntsmen, and the final game of the night. Seattle Surge booked their tickets against Dallas Empire. Both those games going to be slugfest, if I'm honest, and I would expect the last one to be very, very close indeed. But that is everything from myself and Chance for day 2 here at the Minnesota home team. Unfortunately for Minnesota, they bow out of their home series, but we're right back after this with a PlayStation Instant Reaction.
This is our crazy event. One of the most stacked groups we've had throughout the entire season.
Atlanta FaZe, your Florida champions. Salium, a huge clutch.
Dallas Empire second home series win.
Not 1, not 2, but 3 plays are going huge for Dallas Empire.
There it is, Octane doing what Octane does.
Røkkr, clutch up once again. The Røkkr are lighting it up.
Huntsmen, show who's on top.
Stevie, stop it!
They will be your Seattle home series champions.
Florida, close it out!
Pharaoh, he finds another one. Ultra have done it. First time getting out of group.
The kill feed all purple.
An absolute rampage from Decimate right now. Real fast. He fights 2. No, that's ridiculous.